I have a lot of hope for this, if only because we have another strong signal that it could work, that Trump is committed to making this work. And that's because he probably wants to start a new war in Venezuela. Just think about it. Just hold with me here. Now, when the Venezuela thing happened, I predicted, well, maybe Ukraine is actually going to wind down because we can't do that many wars at once. Right? That's just not wise. At some point, we
this hasn't really stopped us before.
Hold my beer.
But come on. We're deploying, a bunch of carrier group and a bunch of battleships, and as of like this week, we deployed more F-35s, which aren't exactly helpful in drug trafficking. To the Caribbean.
Or in the rain. It is very damp in the tropics.
Remember that one? Or with pilots? Remember that guy ejected out on accident and it flew off?
Ghost ride the whip.
Man, that was a long time ago. Yeah. Oh man.
Jesus.
Yeah, jeez. So therefore, I think that's one of our best cases for this actually working. That like Trump wants something to work. He wants the win, so he's going to get this win so he can move on to new wins. And that will be probably a regime change war in Venezuela is what it's shaping up to be, which is not an encouraging thing for the America First crowd. If you're a conservative and you voted for this guy because you didn't want nuclear war with Russia, because you wanted a strategic pivot to actual, global hegemons that are appearing on the horizon, like China, if you're the more hawkish end of MAGA, right? Or if you're more on the non-interventionist side and you were like, I want less wars. And it looks like, Kamala Harris is an empty vessel for the war machine. Mm-hmm. At least this guy might have ideas, so pitch that guy. Unfortunately, it looks like it's not going that way for this, right? As of this week, Trump has called off efforts to reach a diplomatic agreement with Venezuela altogether. Now, the context of that is, so late August, warships were deployed to southern Caribbean near Venezuela as part of the broader naval buildup in the area. In September, and you could probably have seen the videos, we sunk a ship, did it again a couple weeks later.
It wasn't like a military ship. It was like a drug boat, allegedly, right?
Yeah, allegedly. Yeah. It was a speedboat.
Right.
It wasn't like a carrier.
No.
Like thing. And another strike, October, right? October 6th, Maduro claimed that the Venezuelan security forces foiled a right-wing extremist plan to bomb a shuttered embassy in Caracas and blamed his government. So he thinks, like Maduro claims, that there was a false flag attack using radical right-wing extremist forces, whatever that means to a socialist government. I don't know. They could have
moderates.
been. I don't know what their philosophy could have been, but he claims they're a radical right. It would definitely be within the profile of American security spycraft to use extremist elements to do that sort of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. So he claims that October 6th, right? So that's only 3 days ago. And October 7th, reports confirmed that there is intensified U.S. military buildup in the Caribbean near Venezuela, deploying F-35B fighter jets to Puerto Rico, the USS Lake Erie cruiser, and special operations vessel MV Ocean Trader positioned near Trinidad and Tobago. Mm-hmm. Tobago, yeah. And that's only 80 miles from Venezuela. That's relatively close. So we have this big buildup happening right next door. We're bombing ships. The bombing of the ships appears to me to be completely against the law.
It's very extrajudicial.
Well, there's no statutory authority. Like, you don't have to have a judicial process for quite a few things for the executive, right?
Sure.
Act of war, war's declared, an authorizing authority of some kind. But, okay, and even like counter narcotics. Like, I actually looked this up. So I'm not a professional podcaster, so I don't have time to research everything. But I did get really interested in the question of what is the actual statutory authority to stop narcotics into the United States? In like the naval vessel area where you're talking about is interdiction, stopping them and boarding them to look for drugs. That's all there is interdiction, right? It's how you stop and search. It doesn't say anything about just blowing them up.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So the argument appears to me, and I'm trying to steel man the administration's argument here, is that, well, we declared TDA, Tren de Agua, a terrorist organization, and so therefore we can do this. But none of the terror authorizations use of military force say any terrorist organization. It's Al-Qaeda and its connected groups, right? Al-Qaeda and the people around Al-Qaeda. is there any evidence from the federal government that Tren de Agua is collaborating with Al Qaeda?
That's a great question.
I mean, did they meet the Syrian prime minister at some point and like plan something? That's what I want to know.
It's classified.
Is that a thing?
It's classified,
Maybe at
David.
the UN? Is that what happened?
They shook hands once.
I mean, I don't see any real justification there. Now, the next closest thing that I looked at was Obama's drone war program. So that program was all justified under the authorization use of military force from 2001 or 2002, which was Iraq. And I actually got this. This is an interesting quote. This is from Obama's legal advisor, Harold Coe. Quote, the president may use lethal force abroad against non-state actors if those actors pose a continuing and imminent threat to U.S. persons and local governments are unwilling or unable to act. That is his justification for the drone warfare program. Now, overall, most of the drone warfare program was actually done with the local governments, the governments that they're talking about in the Middle East, with their collaboration, right? In Pakistan or in Syria or in, I'm spacing right now, Yemen. And we were actually collaborating with the Houthis to identify Al-Qaeda targets back then before we went to war with them. So this is even weaker because even that was still justified tenably around the 2001 AOMF. So there's I don't see any at all legal justification here. And it looks to me that the whole thing is just being sold. Well, they had drugs on board, but there's no evidence that they had
we
drugs
don't know that.
Yeah.
We have no evidence of that. It's at the bottom of the ocean now.
Yeah. One of the vessels had it was
they found it.
speeder with 8 people on it. Where are the drugs? It's not,
Well, I mean,
there's a lot of people on a relatively small boat.
I mean, there's room. There'd be room for 8 people and drugs on a boat. No problem.
On a small boat?
Well, it's like a cigarette boat, right? They've got a really
Yeah.
Long hull, essentially, and a cargo space underneath.
Yeah.
From what I understand.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, but are we talking about real drug movements here? And what is the evidentiary basis of that?
I mean, these are great questions, and yeah, definitely things that I feel like the administration is accountable to answering definitively to justify this.
And think of it, if you're running drugs, why would you put 8 people on board? It's a lot of people to feed and do all the water and all that kind of stuff to move cargo around. I don't know. There could be a lot of reasons to take a boat out into the Caribbean.
I read something recently, and let me know if you've corroborated this anywhere, but I read recently that it actually came out that I think the second boat that they sank was actually Colombian, not Venezuelan.
I've heard that too.
And I haven't confirmed that, but that would be a whole different story because now you're attacking boats from 2 different countries.
Yeah.
So,
well, at least there would be an actual drug claim if it was Colombian, because almost none of our drugs come from Venezuela. Now, there's not good information here. I tried to draw the raw data, but you can't find it. But there's lots of independent analysis about where certain drugs in the United States come from. So the question is, how much does the U.S. drug problem trace itself back to Venezuela? And there's a couple different wrinkles to that, so that's why I framed the question that way. And obviously keep this all with a grain of salt because there isn't good data here. Even the feds don't really release great data in this area. Well, one, what is the drug that we're most worried about?
fentanyl.
Does any fentanyl come from Venezuela? Almost none.
My knowledge is the precursors come in from China into Mexico, and then they are trafficked over the border.
India.
Yeah, if the case is anything, it's cocaine. But even most cocaine doesn't come from Venezuela. It comes from Colombia through Venezuela. So what are we doing in Venezuela?
There have to be. It seems like you're painting the picture that there have to be ulterior motives here.
Yeah, I mean,
and is it just that Maduro is a socialist and they want to throw him out and put in a puppet, leader that's compliant to the U.S.?
So let me give you the rest of the stats.
Sure.
7% is the total amount of potential drug trade from Venezuela. 7%. 80% of the fentanyl comes from Mexico. The rest of the percentage of total drug trade is almost all from Central America and Canada. So none of this makes any sense from that point of view, right? Start
bombing Canada, dude. I think we just got to start bombing Canada.
And I don't even think Canada is a big portion of that. It's just weed and stuff.
For sure.
And this is it wasn't always clear to me. That's just how bad the data is. It wasn't always clear to me what I was looking at is fresh data or older data or all that kind of stuff. So it's really unfortunate, and maybe I got to do more research.
Well, and it's all designed to be clandestine. I mean, the only drugs that we would know about were ones that we were able to interdict in some way, right? In transit.
Yeah. And if you blow it up, you don't know what your rate is. Exactly that, right? So therefore, is there another alternative motive? Yeah, of course there is. I mean, this feels very much like Gulf of Tonkin Iraq war combination,
weapons
right?
of mass destruction.
We're just putting people as putting forces in tripwire places, and then generating intelligence. Like so if the entirety of the intelligence cases is the video of night vision of blowing up a boat, if that's the entirety of their evidentiary case, then it's clearly illegal.
Oh yeah,
right? Because there's no authorizing authority here. Unless you're appealing to like the UN charter on like self-defense, but even then you still need like some evidentiary basis for it of like, this is why this was a threat to America.
Right. And why couldn't they just run a Coast Guard cutter out there or a Navy ship out there and board them and capture them and take the drugs?
Yeah.
No,
and
the logical first step
and then
is
do the
blow it
pose,
up.
with the mountain of cocaine.
Yeah, right. What was that, Bennett?
The logical first step is blow it up.
Yeah, right.
Kill everyone.
Just
blow
drugging
it
all
up.
the fish of the Caribbean with cocaine. And we're going to have cocaine sharks.
Yeah, I was going to say that's going to be a movie. Cocaine Sharknado.
Cocaine Sharknado. Coming soon to a theater near you.